I got some mowers here for some testing today. Just want to show you guys the yard. Got them stripes going for days, play chess on there. Most people don't mow in the rain, but I know that people in the lawn care business are going to be looking at this mower. So we're going to go up and see how it does cutting in the rain. I don't know how well you'll be able to hear me, but I want to make a few passes and see if it makes a lot of clumps or what it does, because we have a X mark with the adaptive chute coming out, and I've heard it cuts extremely well in wet. But we're going to see how this does. I'm going to cut here on 4 3/4, and I'm going to make these 3 passes across through here. So this one will blow over, and that one, that'll blow some of it back, and then it'll go back again, just to kind of get an idea of how it is, because this was mowed 2 or 3 days ago, these 2 stripes here, just playing around. And I'm going to go through here and see what it does. I've noticed that Kawasaki motor backfires sometimes. It's probably the 3rd time it's backfired on me. But this is cutting off of this probably... well, I'll show you over here. So we're cutting off at least... I'll just pluck one from this. You know, some of it's way taller than the other, but it's probably 2 inches above where I'm cutting at. So there's a little bit right there. The Mohawk is because this deck is 60 inches. My other one's 66, and I'm staying inside the stripe. But I mean, all in all, I mean, that's a pretty decent cut. There's some on here where it blew it over, but I think if you was going consecutively back and forth, I just made 4 passes through there. And I mean, up here, I first went down this stripe, and of course I never went back this way. So you've got all the blowover from here, but the next 3 stripes over, there's not really anything on them. Let's see if any built up in that little bit of time. These Hyperdrives, a lot of times, do build up in this corner right here. You can see that was sitting in there. But I've noticed if you mow in really damp conditions, that it'll do that. But in all honesty, if you're a homeowner and you're cutting your grass, you know, I wouldn't ever recommend cutting off any more than a 1/2 inch to 3/4 inch at the most. That will keep your yard very well manicured, and the clippings will be able to go back into your yard as nutrients. When you cut it and it's super long like this has not been cut in over a week. And so it's, I mean, it's absolutely stupid, tall and thick you know, it's almost a week and a half cut. And the only reason I'm leaving it, like I was talking about, is I've got other mowers coming out. So I'm trying to leave all this for testing. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to test these two mowers, because if you're watching this video, you know, either one, you love mowers, or two, you're looking at these two mowers or these two mowers against another mower. But when you're looking at these, this you can obtain cheaper than you can a Hyperdrive. So is it worth stepping up to the Hyperdrive? And I'm going to try to see if that's the case today. Like in the last video, I'm going to give you a quick rundown. Both of these run 26-inch tires. The two front tires are pneumatic, so they're aired, which I much prefer as a homeowner. If I was a business owner, I would go with no air in the front tires, meaning that you could run nails, things like that. You don't have to worry about keeping air in them. On the mower, this uses a suspension platform, which is the shock under the seat, and it lets this thing float on there. This uses Springer forks in the front, which I'm sure you can buy for that, and a suspension seat, as in this, with a bladder below it, and you set your weight to here. Other than that, the setup on these mowers is almost identical, as in the size of the mower. I do think that the Hyperdrive's front casters are a little further out, but other than that, the difference between them is going to be the hydraulics and the motor. The motor's not going to make a difference in the ride, and the hydraulics not really going to make a difference in the ride. So, you know, is it worth stepping up to the big Parker setup on this hydraulic system? Or is the Hydro Gear a perfect deal at the price? I do think that this motor can compete with the bigger Kawasaki, the 38.5, and this Briggs 37.5 EFI. Just running them what little I have. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to drive each of them down and back pretty quick, just to get a feel for them back to back, to see how the suspensions work, and see, is this one, because eventually I think what they're going to try to do is have a suspension platform on other mowers. So will it ever make it to the Hyperdrive? I don't think it will, and the reason being is because of the shock setup and how it is, unless they went to the Hydro Gear setup on the Hustler Hyperdrive, and then it would not be the selling point that it is. This has a wheel and pump motor, and as I've said before, it's a Parker wheel with a Danfoss pump, and it works extremely well. So let's see how these two do down and back, and I'm going to go pretty fast on the two and try to show you the suspension on both of them and give you my thoughts. So I'm going to get on these and go down through here and kind of hit this pretty fast. There's a couple of bumps in the ground there and there. Hopefully in video you can see it. It's super hard to see suspension work on a mower working, but I'll give you my thoughts after and we'll see. Doing the Hyperdrive first.
Stay, baby.
Now I'm going to try the X-Ride system. Wells, thank you for your water gun and trash can top. She's fine. I can go fast enough. thought that would be the case. Are you still videoing? To me, I don't know why, but I still feel like the Springer forks with the 26s and the suspension seat are smoother. I'm gonna let my wife, who cannot drive mowers, but to her, it's gonna be, I just don't want anybody think I'm being biased or whatever. To me, I still feel like the Hyperdrive rides smoother. I checked all the tires. The tires are, as far as the air, identical. Both of them have 12 to 13 PSI in the rear. Like I said, the front casters seem like they're a little closer on the X-Ride, and maybe it's because the shock hasn't really got broken in. I mean, that's a brand new unit. So I'm just gonna let her take them and see what she thinks. I mean, they're very close, but I just think that the Hyperdrive is, so she's got it started. I told her to put it about half throttle. This is the X-Ride unit, and just see what she thinks about them, because I mean, she could care less. I mean, the suspension platform on there works well, but I'm not 100% certain if it's just me or what. And maybe you can tell in video when we go back and watch this. All right, she's got it started up here. Got her aviators on. I think she's going a tad faster, but it's hard to tell. I'll leave this running, just so you know, guys, that I ain't talking to her. What's your initial thoughts?
This is much smoother to me.
That one's smoother?
Yeah.
See, I feel like it is too. I don't know why.
I felt much more comfortable. I feel like I'm really bouncy and moving all over.
The way that shock, it almost bucks you.
Yeah, when I hit that, I just feel grounded.
Yeah, see, I wonder if that shock ain't broke in. And guys, I've tried it on 1, I've tried it on 5. Which shocks usually, this is crazy, but they usually take, 30 to 100 hours to really get to where they are as, broke in, or the spring's not as much tension. But like I said, in this Hyperdrive, like I said, it's got Springer forks on it and the seat, but it just gives you a more smooth feeling. And that's not saying anything against this mower. If you've ever rode a Hyperdrive with Springer forks, they're just stupid smooth. Smooth hydraulics, smooth everything. It's just absolutely smooth. And like I said, this is not broke in, so maybe that shock needs some time to settle. Other than that, I have been driving this mower, and I've took it up and down hills and through a couple other places and everything. It cuts really good, and it goes up and down hills extremely, extremely well. I do notice that it kind of wants to bring the front end up. It seems like easier than the Hyperdrive does. But this Evo motor holds its RPM so well. And I'll show you guys that and my thoughts on that, especially for a 34.5 horse motor. But I'm going to do another test after this, where I use the stock blades on this and the stock blades on mine. I've seen a lot of people say that they don't think that the 60-inch deck cuts as good as the 66-inch deck. And I have no clue if it does or not. But we're going to test that and see, because I have OEM blades on mine, and these are brand new OEM blades. I'm almost sure that they are identical blades. They're like medium lift. They're not a super high lift blade. Yeah, they're identical blades. Of course, these are, you know, shorter by 2.5 inches, because this is a 60-inch deck, or 61. Yeah, 60-inch deck. So this over here is the 66. So I'm going to take these up there and do a cut test between the two, just to see if there's any difference between the two as far as how they're cutting or discharging in comparison to each other. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a pass down and back. This is a 66, this is a 60, so I'll be able to stay in my other stripe over there. We're just going to see how they cut compared to each other. I'm going to try my best to match the speed. I can't run both motors at the same time, so I'm going to try to do it by feeling. So, you know, hopefully that works. Let's see on these cuts what they look like in comparison. Mine has the factory blades. They've been sharpened like, I don't know, 4 or 5 times. But you can see here, don't pay attention to the grass laying on top. That's where it blowed over when I went through there. This is super bumpy ground right here. Just to, I mean, you can't see it in video, but it's literally, you can see a hump there, there. And I'm going at a pretty decent speed. Hopefully you can tell in the cut. And then here it is the other way. You can see a couple scragglers where I went over that bump, and that's deeper right there, but you can see on there. And then over here, honestly, I think that the 66-inch deck might pull it up a little better, to be honest. It's hard to tell in this video. Let me go back and look, just make sure. Yeah, I mean, I think the 66 might vacuum a little better. I don't know. The cuts are really, really close. This grass is very thick and lush, and we're cutting off. Just so anybody knows, when you're cutting grass, if you want it to be the best looking, you don't really need to cut below 1/4 to 1/2 inch off of the grass every time. So if you want a well manicured lawn, you just need to cut it anytime that it's getting really over I would say 3/4 of an inch taller, and we're cutting off at least 2 inches off this grass. But I've left it because I've got a bunch of mower companies coming out soon, and that over there is going to be super thick for some testing on all the mowers. So I'm trying to leave this, but we cut at least, I don't know if I can show it in the video here or not, but this is where we're cutting off from. It's right here's where the side beside it is. So that's the length of the grass that we're cutting off, just pulling it from where it cut the grass at. But I don't know. I don't know if the 66 cuts any better than the 60. It's hard to tell. I just know a bunch of guys have said that or asked that. And another test I'm going to do is I'm going to put the high lift blades on this, the Ballard blades, and run the regulars on these just to see which one cuts better then. I know the Ballards lift higher, so it should make a more manicured cut when you use it. But I don't know if it's going to mulch it up as good because it spits it out so quick. So we'll see that test too. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to drive this down the hill, and I'm not doing it to mow, but I want to see how this feels in comparison to the Hyperdrive. Like I said, they've got the exact same tires. This is a brand new machine. So the tires obviously are a little bit better. Mine's got over 200 hours on it, or right around 200 hours. And they're both running the same tire pressure. But as I was saying, this has this suspension platform. So you can see there, the whole platform kind of moves. And to change that, you go up and under this seat, like I was showing, and we can go, there's one. I had it on 3, so let's see how, this is on 5 all the way down. I don't know if I can tell much difference, and maybe it's just how it shifts. But anyway, we'll put it on 5 and see how it does going down through there. Plus, this has the hydro gear. So I'm going to try to take both of these pretty fast, just so you guys can see how they do and get your opinion on, and I'll give you my opinion on the motors between the two. This is a Kawasaki, that's a Briggs, like I was stating. But this, I think that this motor is going to be a win, but we'll see. So you might couldn't tell in the video, I'm not sure, but running that Evo motor, it does really, really well to be a lower horsepower rated motor in comparison to, like I said, this is 3 horsepower more. Also on this mower with the hydro gear, I think it's the 26s are a really good win on that. I think it makes the hydro gears work a ton better. So if I was looking for a hydro gear mower, this would definitely be one of the ones I would be looking at. Come on, Willow. It performs extremely well. And as far as the feeling of heel stability and everything, I was really impressed with it to have hydro gear pumps on it. I'm not for sure the exact MSRP on these, but I'll try to look that up. I know I've seen some selling between $15,000 and $16,000. I know now they're selling these Hyperdrives closer between 17 and 20. But if I was picking one of these two up, I myself would still go for the Hyperdrive. Now, that's just me. That doesn't say really anything against this mower. It's just I am a fan of the hydraulic setup on the Hyperdrive. Now, this one performed. There's nothing that I could say bad about this mower besides that I think that the shock needs to be broke in. But as far as running the mower and using it, I was super impressed with it. And I love all the things that they've done extra, like put the little USBs in here. Just the aesthetics, they did a great job with the new aesthetics on it. And like I said, the price difference you're going to get between these two, I think that this motor is going to be a win. I think that it's going to be able to hold its own, even at a lower horsepower rating. Like, I think that they could probably put this motor on here and do fine. I'm not for sure. Like I said, the hydraulic pull may be less on this Hydra gear in comparison to the setup on that because of how robust it is. But without having a pressure meter and seeing the strain on the pumps and everything going up hills, other than that, I mean, this pulled on the hills really well. It cut fine. I mean, like I said, there's nothing bad I've got to say about this X-Ride, and I think you guys are going to really like these units. I would definitely recommend going and test driving one and, you know, just give it a shot, see what you think. I also talked with the rep on this, and he said that it's going to be stiff for a couple of hours until it gets broke in, and that was my exact thought. I think after this thing had 10, 20 hours on it, that suspension is going to be really good. It just needs to get broke in.